Update. Everything my mother, 46 female, told me, 17 female, is a lie. Original story. My mother, Canadian, and my father, American, got married young, had me, and then several years later, divorced. My mother took me back to Canada and I lived there from 2 to 16. I saw my grandparents, paternal, but only occasionally saw my father. She hauled him into court numerous times, suing him on both sides of the border. In my mind, my father was a screw-up, and I really hated him, but loved his parents. My whole life, my parents were never in the same room. I saw my father 1 to 2 times a year, sometimes only for a couple of days. My mother warned me what an idiot and a tool he is, and I resented him. They were constantly in court. My mom told me he never paid what he owed. My mother said he never paid spousal support, which is why we were so friggin' poor. He couldn't cook. He was a leech. It was so bad that I couldn't talk with my grandparents about him because it would start a fight. I don't think I was ever happy to see my dad, and I kinda liked that it hurt him, just like he was hurting my mom. Eventually, I just stopped seeing him. Jump to May, and my mom tells me she wants me to renew my US passport and move in with my dad. She and my stepfather are doing a road trip from Nova Scotia to Tofino. So I packed my bags, fly to the US, and moved in with my dad. Immediately, my alarm bells go off. My father's talking about starting school here, and I keep trying to tell him no. He gets my mother on the phone, who then tells me the truth, that my stepdad doesn't want a teen girl in the house because of the temptation, so I am living here forever. My mother quit her job, is selling her stuff and taking up with him, and I'm out. I've been here since June, and nothing my mother ever told me about my father is true. At first, it was little things. He can totally cook, and isn't a complete numbskull like she told me. He has a really interesting job that I had never even heard of. This whole family's like the Brady Bunch. My father has a great job, my stepmother runs her family business, and I have a younger sister and 2 brothers. My father kept photos of me. My father has items my mom and Nana sent him, and I'm just so angry that nothing was the truth. I was terrified to come here because of what my mom told me about the crime. It isn't true at all. My mom warned me about the food. Again, nothing is true. My whole life was one big BS. So I asked my dad why I didn't pay spousal support, and my stepmom cleared it up. They did pay child support. My mom got remarried twice, and so the courts rejected her claims, which she also lied about. I'm so far from home that I barely know anymore. My mom is gone with some biker tool. My dad is lovely. My stepmom is lovely. My dad put me in a tiny private school where my class welcomed me and made gifts and brought me things. Still, I'm so angry. I just want to scream. Is it bad that I crawled into my bed with my stepmom and cried? I don't know how health insurance works or if we even have any, so I don't want to ask for a therapist. My dad is already taking me to get my teeth fixed. I'm mad at him for not getting me out of there sooner. My tooth hurts, but I don't know how all that works. I want to scream in my mother's face. I want to ask her why she lied for years. We lived in an awful apartment in Halifax. Where did all the money go? She lied about every single thing. No one took me seriously. No one seemed to care, and I want to know why she did this. Now I'm tempting for a creep, so I'm gone? I'm so lost. I want to ask my father about everything, but I'm terrified of the answer. Now I'm worried I'll have to go back to my mother. How do I repair things with my dad? How do I let my mother know what a horrible human she is? Has anyone ever had a toxic parent like this? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I don't know how health insurance works or if we even have any, so I don't want to ask for a therapist. We've established that your dad is a good dad, as difficult as that may be to internalize after all your mother's lies. If you tell him you need to see a therapist, I'm 100% sure he will help you figure that out. And hopefully that person can help guide you through conversations with him about what you've been through and where the 2 of you go from here. As for your mom, I don't think you need to say anything to her, unless she pulls a 180 and wants you back in her life. At which point you can tell her that's not happening. Maybe write her a letter at some point if you feel the need to put a formal cap on the relationship, but that can wait. For now, just focus on you. And I guarantee if they're well off the way Opie says, he has insurance. Taking Opie to get her teeth fixed means they likely have dental as well. It should be a breeze to get into therapy. They seem like stable people who would be very supportive of that. Definitely talk to your dad about therapy, Opie. You'll be okay. She'll pull a 180 when the creep leaves her. Then she'll go on and on about how important Opie is. how she never wanted to leave her, but felt she had to protect her, etc. Sweetie, if your dad can afford to put you in private school, then you probably have pretty good insurance. It's okay to ask for a therapist, and it's okay for you to be angry at your mom. For that matter, the private school probably has at least semi-decent counseling services. You could start there and ask if they can help you talk to your dad about the need for more specialized professional support if you're nervous to have that conversation on your own. My stepdad doesn't want a teen girl in the house because of the temptation, so I'm living here forever. What the actual heck? He actually told your mom that, and she's still with his creep? That is disgusting. He is basically saying he can't resist the temptation of violating you. That is the most awful thing I have heard. And your mom kicked you out because of it? Not him? Wow. I'm so sorry. It sounds like your mom makes horrible choices and has lied to you about things. It is totally unfair and of course painful. Unfortunately, many people have to deal with messed up parents, but I'm glad you have a good dad and stepmom. When you are ready, I think you should confront her, but I think for now you need to focus on you. Cry. Grieve the loss of the mom you thought you had. Focus on taking care of yourself. When you are done grieving, focus on making your life good. Yes, your mom is a mess, but you are not. You can have a great life despite all this. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. I think the more distance you keep from your mom, the better. Am I the only one who immediately thinks that mom is lying about this because in her own messed up way of thinking, by sending Opie off, she won't have competition from her daughter for the affection of her new husband? Obviously, she doesn't care that her daughter lives in poverty, is poorly provided for, and is alienated from her biological father, so a further lie is not out of character. And she is acting as if she's protecting Opie. Furthermore, if the new spouse is actually a pedo, the last thing he would do is to broadcast what he really wants. It would be beneficial to him to stay under the radar to get close to the victim/Opie. I wasn't thinking that until you just said it. To be fair, I really don't know this man. We never spent time together. Now I don't know what to think. And now for the update. It's been a little while since I wrote to you. I read every message and then was going to respond, but it got locked. I wanted to tell you all what happened. It has been really crazy. After my post was taken down, I went to speak to my stepmom, and she asked me to wait for my dad. We sat down and I just let it all out. I explained everything. It went through everything that had been happening. I told them that I was scared of where we were living and that I needed help, but I was worried about insurance and money. I told him that I felt sick all the time. It was starting to lose my mind that my stomach burned, but I felt like I was going to throw up all the time. Saying all that really started to change things. When I first got there, my dad never mentioned my mom or discussed what happened. I felt crazy. I knew my mom's version of events, but I kept realizing that was mostly untrue and nothing made sense. My dad never provided context or any more information, so I was just left knowing everything was wrong. So my dad answered every question I had. He explained things from his perspective, and stepmom backed things up with letters, documents, and other things. I'd always wondered why my dad didn't love me or my mom, why he left and why things were so bad between them. When I would see him, we never discussed my mom. We tried to enjoy the time we had together, but I was curious and asked a lot and he avoided it. I guess because he avoided the subject, I figured it was all true. We were dirt poor, and he didn't seem to care. Now that I have the other side of the story and see what happened, very little of what my mom said is at all true. To help push me along, my stepmom arranged for me to get help. My stepmom took me to see a doctor and get a checkup. He was really caring and concerned and helped me learn about options and services. He referred me to a therapist and I've already seen her twice. She's great. She's positive and helpful. She took everything I had to say. It has been helping me find ways of managing stress. I went to the dentist, which I hadn't been to one in years, and all my tooth and jaw pain is getting much better. I had medical tests because of my stomach issues, which was strange. It seems like I'm okay. I'm not sick or anything, and a lot of everything can be explained by stress. My dad took me to the school principal's office. The school counselor, principal, me, and my dad all met. They were very understanding about everything. And on top of seeing a therapist, they have a counselor at my disposal for additional support if I'm in crisis at school. So far, school is going great. It's more demanding than my old school, but the teacher seems to really care. And I find a small size is really great. I have a tutor helping me catch up in math, and I feel better about how well I can do. I am adjusting to life here. It's certainly hotter and bigger than I'm used to. It's not really what you'd expect. I guess I didn't know what to expect when I came here. I was told it's scary and dangerous, and so far it's anything but. We've hiked trails and gone to various parts of the city. I've tried authentic Mexican cuisine and had famous fast food like In-N-Out. I tried barbecue for the first time, which is so good and so not what I had thought. Life is very, very different than it is portrayed on TV. I even met my very first Trump supporter, which was totally not what I expected. All in all, it's not at all what people would think. People are really kind, and so far, things are much more positive. I'm a bit older than my siblings, but things are good between us. I was always told that my dad was lazy and poor. It's the opposite. Both my parents have good jobs, and money isn't really an issue. I realize my mom put a lot of her financial burden on me. My parents here are good at being reassuring, and don't really discuss problems or issues with me. My siblings and I are getting along well, and they show me a lot of things, and we've done a lot of things as a family, which is also new for me. As for my mom, she called randomly to see how I was adjusting. I went about as bad as you could imagine. They were somewhere riding around or whatever, and we talked for a few minutes. She could sense I was angry, so she hung up. When she did call back a couple of days later, she got mad at me, told me I was an ungrateful witch for everything, and that I was toxic. I told her I never wanted to see her again. I have learned that my mother put this plan of me moving in action before she hooked up with her current partner. I guess the money's running out, and I was no longer of any use. She called me back again, but my stepmom took the call. I could hear my mom drunk yelling, so I think my time living with my mom is over. My mom had put things into emails that my father has kept as evidence. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I don't think my mother and I will ever be together again. It makes me sad. I feel like she dumped me for no reason. She always told me how difficult and unpleasant I am, and she picked on me in a lot of things I couldn't control. I don't feel the same here. My parents don't criticize me, and I feel less stressed out for just existing. My parents bought me all new stuff, so I feel like I have things of my own. I know it sounds crazy, but it makes me feel connected to something. I'm still angry and annoyed. I'm still really mad at my mom, and if I think about it, I get overwhelmed. I still don't get why she did what she did, and I don't understand why she doesn't love me. I also kind of miss her sometimes. I wanted to follow up with everyone because so many people commented and gave me great advice. I wanted to tell you that I'm doing better. It was crazy, and I never saw so many doctors and nurses so much in my life. But I feel better now than I have before, and things in my life make a lot more sense than they have ever in my life. I'm happier. I feel like a weight has been lifted. My parents are taking me out of school next Friday, and we're driving to California, and I've never been more excited before in my life. I've always wanted to see California and see the Pacific Ocean. I can't wait. Your dad and stepmom were amazing parents. I'm so glad your mom was not able to poison you against them permanently, in that they got a chance to show you what a loving, caring, and healthy family dynamic looks like. Not gonna lie, I have tears in my eyes as I have never had a caring father, and he wouldn't do anything for me. I'm very happy for you. You are in a beautiful age with lots of opportunities. Good luck. Having a real understanding person with no agenda who can be a father figure in your life might help. I'm a pseudo dad to 3 girls, none of whom I'm related to, and I just step in as dad when I'm needed. I give them advice. I try to help them understand why their families were how they were. I turn up in the early hours of the morning when I get calls because they've broken down with panic in a nightclub. I do dad things. I love them all, and I think they love me for coming through on the deeds instead of just saying the words. And we make each other better people. So what was your dad's side of the story? If you don't mind going through it, I'm just curious exactly how far your mother's account deviated from reality. No worries if you'd rather not get into it. Overall, I'm glad you are safe now, and wish you luck working through your childhood. Your mom sucks all on her own, and none of this is your fault. Oh man. So basically my mom got pregnant on vacation. She went back to Canada with an eye of moving to be with my dad. She changed her mind, and what ensued was 17 years of lawsuits. My mom got married, stepdad number 1, then he left. She got divorced and remarried number 2. That was the lowest period. My mother was suing my father, and so I didn't see him for over a year. From my father's end, he was trying to get fair access to see me, but then things would get tied up in court and we couldn't. Between like 12 and 15, I only see him maybe once a year. He talked a lot about how he missed me and showed me emails and letters sent via lawyers. My mom is dirt poor but was getting money, so I have no idea why we were so broke. Basically, my mom used the courts to keep my dad at a distance, but my dad spent years trying to fight back. Now that I'm here, I have to figure out this whole new way of handling what I thought was a bad dad. My friend had a Canadian girlfriend and she got pregnant. She went back to Canada and broke up with him. After years, he gave up getting any custody or visitation rights. Because he wasn't Canadian, it was very, very difficult. I believe your dad after seeing what my friend went through. In a way, it makes me feel horrible. The courts let my mother keep my father from me. They protected her and punished him. And for what? So I could live in a crappy apartment with an alcoholic? I'm pissed at that.